So is it morally acceptable for a vegan to be with a significant other who isn't? That's a deep question, and it's a really good one to make sure that you get right. So let's go over 8 critical things to consider, which I'm sure you'll find interesting, but I don't know if you'll agree. Either way, by the end of this video, you'll at least know where you stand on this issue. All right, let's rock. Let's start by talking about your moral standards and how deeply you hold them. For many people, being vegan isn't just a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of affecting the world. You probably went vegan because you became aware of some awful, horrible, terrible information that prompted your spirit that consuming animal products just felt wrong to you. You saw terrible things and you said, I need to change this about my life and about the world. That forced you to take ethically commendable action to refuse to contribute to those atrocities any longer. Long story short, your morals just leveled up that day, and you probably still feel pretty good because of it. Now, how important is that moral decision to you? Just give it a rating real quick. Don't really think about it. Just kind of blurt out an answer. Is it low importance, medium importance, high importance, or is it like the most important thing in your life? Your answer to that question is a great place for you to start in deciding for yourself whether you, a vegan, can date a non-vegan comfortably. If you rated the moral importance level on the lower side of things, then maybe dating a non-vegan partner doesn't really bother you all that much. People who went vegan for personal health reasons might be the people that feel this way. Maybe one day they just drop veganism altogether and this whole question becomes irrelevant to them. But someone who is vegan for ethical reasons might rate the moral importance level as super high, kind of like myself. And therefore, they would be far less likely to make an exception for a non-vegan relationship. A great way to workshop the morality question is by applying it to other beliefs that you hold near and dear, seeing how you feel about those things, and asking yourself, like, what kind of compromises could I make in a relationship? What things could I let go if my partner didn't agree? And then seeing how you feel about those things, and then kind of grafting that feeling onto the veganism conversation. For example, how do you feel about abortion? If you detest abortion, could you be with someone who is pro-choice? And if you think abortion is healthcare and critical to the fabric of women's rights, could you be with someone who didn't agree with you? What about other hot button issues like climate change, religious influence on politics, or gun control? So what do you think? What do you feel? Could you be with someone who is fundamentally misaligned on some of your deepest held views and beliefs? Now, I'm sure you could be, right? We're obviously not going to see eye to eye with our partners on absolutely everything. I don't even think that's realistic at all. But wouldn't it be nice to agree with someone on some of the really big stuff? Wouldn't that make for a strong foundation for the relationship? I think it would. So let's have some fun and run a quick simulation. Let's say you just go for it and you date a non-vegan. What would your day-to-day life actually look like? Well, to start, you'd smell them cooking dead animals on a weekly, if not daily basis, so most of the time. Your cookware would constantly be in contact with death, blood, and torture, and the nonsense that they pump into meat these days. You'd also be kissing someone who had animal product residue on their lips and their mouth and in their teeth. That sounds gross. And then if you split the grocery bills and dinner tabs, which is kind of an expectation in modern relationships as far as I can tell, then some of your money would be directly supporting some very non-vegan industries. And there may also be occasional conversations about your opposing stances on veganism, which could be good if respectful, of course, but could be bad if disrespectful. You may also try to change each other's minds about your choices. You're trying to force them to change, they're trying to force you to change, and it's possible that you may both grow to resent each other for not making the adjustments that the other person is looking for. And who knows what else? So what do you think about all that? It's probably pretty close to what your reality would look like if you took the plunge. So how does all that make you feel? All right, I hear you. What if that person is perfect in every other possible way? Well, that's a fair question to ask, and that's what we're here talking about, so let's go for it. Answer this question honestly. Ready? If veganism is one of your deepest held moral convictions, then would you let that person's amazingness outweigh one of your deepest held moral convictions? Or does veganism just not really mean all that much to you and you're kind of in a place of not caring if you're misaligned on that subject? Or would you stay standing strong in your beliefs and say no to someone who otherwise checks a lot of boxes? I guess at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to where you're at in life, but that's going to be up to you. Do not let me sway you on this. You really have to examine how deeply you hold to your beliefs and what you feel comfortable letting slide in a relationship and what you prioritize most in your life at that moment. So you might be thinking, doesn't love conquer all? Can't love override anything that challenges it? Well, sure, but would you be okay with your significant other indulging in something that you're so avidly against? Could you look past that ethical conundrum the same way that they might look past the ethical conundrum of contributing to the suffering and the deaths of innocent animals for their sensory pleasure just because they like the way it tastes? Seems a little hard to do, no? Is your love for that person stronger than your desire to keep that baby chick from being tossed into the shredder? Is your love for that person stronger than the pigs screaming at the top of their lungs for their lives in the gas chamber as they're put to death for someone to just enjoy a pulled pork sandwich? I don't know, maybe your love is stronger than all those things, but it seems a little tough at the very least though, right? I'm sorry, I just can't picture that. So here are some other important things to consider when making this decision for yourself. Number 1, are you dating for the short term or for the long term? If it's short term, maybe try dating a non-vegan for a little while and see how you feel about it. That would be the time to figure it out prior to settling down. Number 2, is veganism just a diet to you, or is it more like a religion? Number 3, would it bother you if they were vegan at home for you, but not at work or when going out to restaurants? Number 4, do you really want to be with someone who can just excuse atrocities because a Big Mac is yummy? Can you look past their taste buds justifying torture and death because you just click on some other relationship levels? Number 5, if you eventually have a child together, whose opinion is going to win out when you decide what the child's diet will consist of? What if your partner wants the baby to eat dead muscle and rotting flesh and drink tortured cow's milk as they grow up, and you want the baby to consume beautiful vegetables? Number 6, will you silently judge your partner if they don't assimilate with you, which may build resentment between the two of you? Or can you actually let it go if they never change their mind? Number 7, is the person open-minded? Do they adjust their viewpoints based on new information that prompts them in some way? Is there a chance that they change on their own without you prodding or forcing it with an ultimatum? Number 8, are you going to want to try to change that person? How well is that going to go? And is that even fair to try to do at all? And then on the other side, would you be okay with them trying to change you? I don't know if you would. So with all of that on the table, do yourself and them a favor and figure out what you want before going into a new relationship, because it could be a serious problem if you don't. So what if you're already in a relationship with someone who isn't vegan? Now hear me here, I am 100% not suggesting that you consider ending that relationship. You don't need to now worry and freak out just because you realize that your moral standards don't sync up perfectly and maybe veganism matters to you more than you ever thought before. There are plenty of ways to make your current relationship work, and all of those ways include your partner respecting and honoring your lifestyle choice. Just because you're not both vegan does not mean that the relationship is doomed. If you're in a healthy relationship and you just happen to be the one with better morals on the subject of animal torture and murder, then by all means, continue to grow and thrive with your person, and hopefully at some point they'll understand more of your point along the way. Maybe veganism will eventually get to them. They may not change, so don't expect that they will, but that doesn't mean that you can't still be successful with that person. You absolutely can be. However, if you're in an unhealthy relationship and veganism is just one of the many other things that also aren't aligned, then I would recommend that you take a step back and examine the whole relationship, and then make a decision about what's best to do next from there. Maybe leave their disrespectful ass. So now for the big question, what have I chosen for my life? Well, when I entered my current and last relationship in 2014, my wife was actually a vegetarian at the time, and I was very much not a vegetarian at the time. I was an omnivore, gobbling up all those animal products. So it's actually really important for me to say that she never once tried to pressure me into going vegetarian. Not even slightly. Not even a little bit. But I got there on my own because I am an open-minded, documentary-watching empath. Shout out to Gary Yourofsky and Earthlings. They literally changed my life overnight. From there, as a team, my wife and I faded into veganism more and more, growing with each other and loving the journey of it. One of my favorite things about our relationship together is the fact that we are both vegan. Now, if I wasn't with my wife, what would I do if I were still in the dating scene? Well, it's tough to say because it's a hypothetical, but I think I would do my damned best to find a vegan because it's foundational to who I am as a person at this point. I love veganism, truly one of the most important things in my life, and I don't think that I could make the sacrifice of not having that. So of everything that we went over in this video, please remember this. At the end of the day, the choice is yours, and the choice is yours alone. I am not here to prescribe what's best for you. Only you can do that. But who you spend your life with, who you face this world with, is a monumental, major decision. And it's a good one to get right. So I hope that I was able to help you figure out where you stand on this issue. If you do what aligns best with your personal values, I think you'll make the right decision for you. All right, so we'll turn it over to you now. What do you think about all this? Let us know in the comments down below. And please, let's keep it respectful. Remember, do something that makes the world a better place this week. People need you. Watch this video next to dive even deeper into the vegan conversation. Like, subscribe, merch link below, and I will see you next time.